My dad, Roland Abdurrahimov, had always wanted to find the grave of my grandfather, his father, Sergeant Gani Abdurrahimov, who perished in winter of 1945 in Hungary. He managed to find the exact location of the grave with the help of the Council of Veterans, a village called Zamali, about 20 kilometers from Budapest. Our entire family, my kids, mom, dad, went there when dad was still alive, and we installed a memorial plaque with our granddad's photo. We remember him. My father, Muhammad Ali Safargaliyev, was considered missing. In 1985, I managed to get access to the archives of the Ministry of the Armed Forces and found documents indicating that he perished in Voronezh. There is a colossal monument there, with all the names inscribed on it, including my dad's. Every year on Victory Day, Mom would say, "Dear Lord, I wish I knew where he was buried." When I finally found out and told her, she could finally find peace. I also found my dad's grave. All I had was a death notification. With just that, I managed to find a little village in Smolensk where Dad died. And that's where he was buried, in a trench. My dad never came back from the Great Patriotic War. He died a violent death. He was 32, I was 4. I was going through stock footage at the Russian Film Archive, the Kazan railway station in Moscow. Famous artists whose faces I've known since I was a kid: Kari Yakubov, Tamara Hanum, Halima Nasirova. When suddenly my heart stopped, I started to rewind the film slowly. Dear God, my dad, Ergаше Hamrayev, was looking at me from the distant 1937. This instantly brought back what Mommy used to tell me. You were born during the days when Moscow was hosting a festival of Uzbek art. Your dad was so excited that he got all his countrymen together in a rugby, a Georgian restaurant. I decided to call my son Ernst. He declared at the table. The name of the German anti-fascist, Ernst Thälmann, was the Soviet media buzz name at the time. Our friends suddenly refused to eat and drink. The Central Telegraph was just next door, and your dad rushed there to communicate a new name to Tashkent: Ali. Mom would often reprimand my brother and I. You live in the moment. All you can think about is wine and chicks. You never have time to find your father's grave and bring back a pinch of soil from it. In 1973, I finally went to Vyazma. Screenwriter Odelsha Agishev, my friend from film school, came with me. We got the location of the Chashovka village. At the local post office, an old lady showed us the log hut that used to house the medical battalion and told us that Afanasy was the man we needed. I will never forget his words. "Afonia, our commander said the Germans are close, we have to go. I have got 20 dead, we need to bury them. I've got 20 dead, we need to bury them." And there they were, naked on the white snow. One had a somewhat darker complexion. Your dad, perhaps. Why were they naked? What did the dad need clothes for? Women needed skirts. Men needed overcoats. Odelsha was trying to get every little detail down. I asked our driver to lend me a crowbar and try to get a little frozen soil for my mom. I had a shot of vodka and swore to make a film about a man looking for his father's grave. In 1985, I got the chance to film my confession. For some reason, I had decided to shave my head, and that became the opening shot for the film. My mom sang in it. It featured my brother, my daughters, my wife, and my dad, of course. I even made a small appearance myself as a memento. Films were a novelty in Uzbekistan in the 1920s. Just like the first Aeroflot flights. A guest from Russia was always offered a spoon when treated to the traditional pilaf. Everyone was exceptionally hospitable. This is Vyacheslav Viskovsky, the brave Russian director who came to Bukhara from Leningrad. Viskovsky went down in history as the maker of the first Uzbek feature film called The Minaret of Death. Moscow provided the funding, the crew, and the equipment. Bukhara supplied the costumes, the horses, and the crowd. Nadezhda Vendelin and Valentina Baranova had to portray harem prisoners. Casting artists back in 1925 was a challenge. Young men were asked to play female roles in local theaters. Filming Unveiled was fatally dangerous. That same year, Dmitry Basaligo releases The Muslim, starring the stunning Olga Tretiakova. Mikhail Doronin discovers the incredibly talented Rachel Messerer, mother to ballerina Maya Plisetskaya. And director Vladimir Krivtsov boldly exposes the morals of Quran followers. Adventure seekers keep coming one after another from Moscow and Leningrad looking for something exotic and romantic. I think they're in love with the Asian sun and infatuated by the young art of cinema. Local boys are called in, practically off the street. They start off as gophers, carrying the tripods, serving tea, irrigating the set. That's how Nabi Ganiyev, Kamil Yarmatov, and Malik Kayumov entered the world of film. And Ergase Hamrayev. Excerpt from his autobiography. In 1928, I graduated from the Uzbek Pedagogical College. Dad never got to work as a teacher. He met Nabi Ganiyev and ended up in the Ishankul Mosque that was now home to a film studio. Samarkand was the capital of Uzbekistan at the time, and that's where the People's Commissariat for Education presented a young boy from Fergana with a free train ticket and a student assignment. Back in 1928, documents still featured the Arabic type. Certificate for students entering the higher education establishments of the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, with places allocated to national minorities. The presenter of this certificate, Ergase Hamrayev, is dispatched to the city of Leningrad to study at the film college. A new life awaited the young man in Leningrad. Dad's professors were young but already exceptionally famous. Grigory Kozintsev and Leonid Trauberg, as well as Sergei Gerasimov. They gave the go-ahead for aspiring actor Hamrayev to attend screenwriting classes at the same time. Dad is 19 years old. Look at that cap and those eyes beaming with happiness. The college building got struck by a bomb during the war, but a part of the archive was saved, including Dad's personal profile. Personal questionnaire, social status, son of a farm laborer. Preferred roles, tragic and dramatic. Favorite poet, Rabindranath Tagore, Chopin, Fitrat. Favorite playwright, Navoi Fezuli. Many years later, Bari Haydarov, a famous actor and dubbing director, would tell me about those times. At the film canteen, I'd often suggest, "Uncle Boria, how about 100 grams of cognac?" "Absolutely not. No way I can have 100 grams. 50 grams might be okay though." We were in the same year at college, and we went to all the theaters in Leningrad. We lived in a dorm and shared a room. Whenever we went to the canteen, I would eat the soup, and your daddy Ergase would have the main course. We had one decent pair of pants to share, and we would wear them in turn to take girls out on dates. We had so much fun you can't imagine. We would laugh our heads off. During the holidays, Nabi Ganiyev invited his best friend, third-year student, to star in his debut film. Studies are over. The young actor adds a shot from his first film to a newly purchased photo album with an inscription in Roman letters, "Happy New Year, Leningrad, January the 1st, 1932. Excerpt from his autobiography. In 1932, I graduated from Leningrad State Film School as a screenwriter and actor. Then he landed another lead role, and again with Nabi Ganiyev. Even my grandfather Hamro was in the film. Here you can see the father and the son in one shot. What a moment to treasure. Dad had a brother called Ruzi Bai. They did not look alike. Many years later, the Fergan elders told me, "Your granddad Hamro had 4 wives. Uncle Ruzi Bai was from his Uzbek wife and your Gush was from his Tajik wife." Excerpt from his autobiography. I joined the Red Army in 1933 and served in the Uzbek Division Cavalry. I graduated from Samarkand Regiment School, a reserve troop commander, never been abroad. Artist Alexander Nikolaev, who converted to Muslim faith and took the name Ustomumin, drew a portrait of young military student Ergashe Hamrayev. I came across the sketch in the archives by chance. In 1935, Ergashe Hamrayev finally debuted as a screenwriter with Jigit and played the lead role. And who do you think directed it? Well, of course, Nabi Ganiyev. The young actor was already looking for students of his own. He is the director of admissions to a film acting school. A girl from Samarkand called Nastya Tarasic came to pass the exams together with her friend Kairi. She was born in the Poltava province. Her father went missing in the turmoils of the Civil War, and Ukraine was struck by famine. Nastya, together with her brothers and sisters, was saved by their strong-willed mother, Anna Yakovlevna. Trains got their big family to the remote but abundant Samarkand. Kairi got into the film school, whereas Nastya got a D from Ergashe Hamrayev.
Ну что ты плачешь?
Come on, why are you crying?
Актрисой быть хочу.
I want to be an actress so badly.
Я же вам и песни на узбекском,
I sang you a song in Uzbek
и танавар
and danced your national dance. You silly girl. Who would you play in the films? There are so many veiled girls in the streets. They are the ones we want to turn into actresses. You need to go study to Moscow or Leningrad.
Меня мама так далеко нет.
My mom will never let me go that far.
Не плачь, не плачь.
Come on, don't cry.
Где ты остановилась?
Where are you staying?
У знакомых.
At a friend's place.
Пошли, я тебя провожу.
Come on, I will walk you home. So the director of admissions walked the crying girl home. And I was born a year later. And 3 years later, my brother Davliat. A blue-eyed girl came to settle in a Tashkent Old Town side street. The wife of a famous artist who can speak Uzbek fluently and cook pilaf, always happy to treat her neighbors, the village name of Nastya, stayed back in the provincial Samarkand. Now she was called Asya. Her husband's father would at first frown at her, but later would call her no other than Asya Hanum Kwizim, which meant sweet daughter. I think Tamara Hanum's popular song was inspired by my parents' love story. The bad times creeped up on us out of the blue. Mom would tell us. They suddenly started to criticize Jigit for symbolism and naturalism. Moscow even stripped Ganiyev of his film director title. Then there was a fire at the Tashkent studio. Ergash, Nabi Ganiyev, and 20 others were arrested as arsonists and Japanese spies. Excerpt from his autobiography. I have never been a part of a counter-revolutionary organization, nor have I ever deviated from the ideology of the Communist Party. Mom would tell us, the investigator asked them not to hit the artist on the face, but they still did. When they let your dad out, they all got together at Nabi's. I came along too, though I wasn't arrested. They drank vodka, shared prison stories, and laughed. Everything that used to seem so tragic was now ludicrous. We all knew who gave us in. In 2 years, we'd sniffed the bastard out. Then I just left. I didn't want to impose on my friends. It was their first chance to sleep as free men. Mom used to say, I was so happy when they let Dad out. Director Suleiman Hojayev and writer Abdullah Qadiri were killed, and Dad was friends with them. Director Alexander Soltsev met Dad after he was released. You're so skinny, Ergash. I have a small part in Ruby Stars. Come to the mountains with us and bring your family. That's how we rediscovered happiness. Looking through Dad's notepad, I found the following. Voiceover for Train Station. And the date. January the 17th, 1940. That's when he was working on the sound film Ruby Stars. That means I can find his voice, because previously he had only played in silent films. The train station episode. Several voices talking over each other. But there was another note. The Yusuf of Court. Excited, I watch on. What are we going to do, Father? There are more and more people gathering. That was the first time I heard my father's voice. Soft with a little accent. Life seemed to go on. Mom was working as a secretary at the screenplay department. That's her in a white beret. Dad is wearing a tubiteka. Contracts were made for new scripts. Viktor Shklovsky was brought on board as a consultant. June the 13th, 1940. Asya was taken to Takhtapul to give birth to her second son, or maybe a daughter. That's my little brother Davliat with our grandfather in front of our house. It's early spring 1941. Everyone is still in coats. Another tragedy, this time for the country and its people. Troop train is leaving on the 26th of July, 1941. Mobilized officer Ergаше Hamrayev is rushing to finish filming in a military film series. He is playing a kolkhoz farmer going to war. Dad was sent with the cavalry corps to Iran. Russians were worried that the Germans are going to be a threat to Baku oil fields. A romance in letters began. Asya, thank you. I was the first one to get a letter from home. Everyone envies me. I'm sorry, it's dark. I have to write on the go. On paper from Red Army crackers. Surrounded by the desert, the moon, and the stars. The Great Bear is right above me. Look up at the night sky and you will see it. That way we can spend a moment together. I sent a revision of the Cavalryman to the studio and to Ganiyev. Please see that they read and get back to me ASAP. I am so sick of working at the HQ. I wasn't born to be an intendant. I once again requested to be sent to the front. I am worried about your well-being. You've been through so much, and there is still so much ahead. That's why you're so thin and weak, my love. Alyosha, hello son. Keep growing, stay strong to be a commander like me. Here's a horse for you and a plane for Davliad. As to the clairvoyant, the handkerchief and the dreams, you have to stop believing in all these superstitions, my love. I had an extra handkerchief and used it to write a few words to you. That was 5 minutes after the order to relocate to the Moscow front line. There is nothing to worry about. Your husband will come home safe and sound. Yesterday, on the 30th of December 1941, I sent a certificate for 600 rubles. I wanted to transfer the money but couldn't. Everything is going well. Hoping to get in touch with you, but we keep relocating. For the second night now, I've been dreaming about spending time with the kids, bandaging Alik, fighting with Davliad. Just can't seem to see you. If going gets tough, go straight to the Supreme Soviet or the Central Komsomol Committee. Ask for help as a commander's wife. Sell my overcoat and yours. Eat well. Try not to think about me. I'll be fine. Forgive me for not writing for so long. I was on a scouting mission, pretending to be a Tatar cripple. Got nominated for an award. I don't care about money. Here at war, we've all forgotten the value of the ruble. The lives of our children, wives, fathers, and mothers matter so much more than money. When we win, money and gold and fame will be all ours. Asya, Happy New Year 1942. Say hi to Dad, Alik, Davliat, Aziz, Ganiyev, Sabir, love you. Active Army, Field Post 572, Scout Battalion 20, to Ergаше Hamrayev. That was the last we heard from Dad, followed by a few months of torturous waiting. One summer morning, me and my little brother woke up from a horrible scream. My mom was holding some paper and screaming, "Dad is gone." We both started crying. Mom was holding us tight, kissing us frantically. Her tears rolling down my face. Granddad was weeping in the corner, loudly appealing to his God. I remembered that morning for the rest of my life. It marked the beginning of our fatherless existence. And let me tell you, that sucks. lots of boys and girls from the hood lost their dads in the war. Russians, Tatars, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Jews, even gypsies. Lots came from evacuated families. Mom would say, "Dad is coming back. He is either kept captive or he joined the guerrillas." No one would take Dad's chair. And his clothes were always ready. He can't go to the studio in his military uniform, can he? He's a famous artist, Mom would say.
Говорит Москва.
This is Moscow speaking.
Войска Первого Белорусского фронта.
Through a series of heated street confrontations,
Войск Первого Украинского фронта.
the First Belarus Front,
После упорных уличных
aided by the
боев,
First Ukrainian Front,
завершили разгром
succeeded
группы немецких
in defeating a group of German troops,
Сегодня,
and today,
2 мая,
on the 2nd of May,
полностью овладели столицей
have finally
Германии,
seized Berlin,
городом Берлином.
the capital of Germany. Recently, I was given access to some declassified documents at the archive of the Ministry of Defense. Ergаше Hamrayev fought in the Scout Battalion of the 2nd Guard Division. Combat report from the 5th of February 1942. The enemy continues to hold the line defending the Moscow-Minsk highway, in some areas going into the offensive, intending to push our troops away from the highway. To Commander of the 32nd Army, the division has a total of 365 rifles. Due to snowstorms and lack of fuel, supplies are scarce. It's minus 32 Celsius. 122 soldiers are lacking cold weather gear, and there is no possibility to source it. For Scout Battalion 20 to seize the village of Hamraeve by sunrise the 10th of February 1942 and to hold ground. Nominal list of irrecoverable losses among officers of the division. Scout Battalion 20. Ergаше Hamrayev, Lieutenant. The Commander. Killed in the combat on the 9th of February in the village of Hamraeve. Unexpected information. We used to know about Cheshovka only. Another document. Secret. Nominal list of irrecoverable losses of the officers of the Ministry of Defense whose families are subject to receiving pensions. Same data on Ergаше Hamrayev, but in the line of why and when he was written off. It said, died of wounds on the 9th of February 1942, buried in Cheshovka, and that's only about 14 kilometers away from Hamraeve, so he was carried wounded to the neighboring village. I am once again setting out to revisit the battlefield. For some reason, again, I decide to shave my hair, just like back in 1985. My main goal now is the village of Hamraeve. Here it is. So much open space for fire attacks. This is where Ergаше Hamrayev went into his last attack.
Была очень суровая зима. Такие были сугробы, вот мы говорим.
It was such a harsh winter.
Очень много
There was
снега.
so much snow.
Было гораздо больше.
We said there was lots of snow this year,
Дом.
but that year there was so much more. Praskovya Mikhailova had a house opposite.
Медицинский.
That's where they set up a medical battalion. That's where the wounded were taken.
Вашего отца.
Everyone, including your dad. There were houses from these woods to that very end. They were bringing the wounded day and night. Maybe I gave your dad a drink of water. We were doing all we could. Even the kids were trying to help the wounded survive. It didn't matter if they were Russians or Germans. All were taken to hospital. There were 2 Germans among the Russians in our hut. They would even swear in their own language. It was a terrifying time. I pray to God for it to never happen again. I think when they got Dad to Tashovka, into the warmth of the hut, changed his bandages, gave him some painkillers, he must have thought, my wounds will heal, the war will be over. I will go home to my sons and my beloved Asya. And he went to sleep with a smile on his face. It's been 76 years since that cold day, and 76,000 more will pass, and 76 million after that, and my dad will still be dreaming about going home, and he will never know that he died a violent death. Sometimes I think that my dad is up there in the sky with his friends, sitting around a lake with a screen-like surface, watching everything. And he says, that's my son back in Tashkent, walking down the old street he grew up in, and the street is now in ruins. My dad left behind his grandchildren and great-grandchildren a photo album and a flower vase he gave to my mom on their wedding day. I am older than 80. I often dream of Mom and my brother and Granddad, but never my dad.
будем делать, отец? Народа прибывает все больше и больше.